The United States is expected to send tariff letters to partner countries as early as today, which will then take effect on the 1st of August for countries that have not struck a deal. India and the US have likely completed negotiations on a mini trade deal, and a final decision is likely in the next 24 to 48 hours. Sources say India has refused to offer any concessions on sensitive areas in agriculture and dairy, but has offered a fair deal that supports India's labor-intensive sectors. Asian markets have opened largely lower amidst tariff deadline uncertainties, and in absence of cues from Wall Street, the GIFT Nifty is indicating a subdued start for our own markets as well. Crude oil prices have slipped after OPEC Plus surprised the markets by increasing output more than anticipated in August, raising concerns about oversupply. Meanwhile, gold prices have also declined as the US tax cut bills ignite fiscal worries and over these tariff uncertainties. And in some first quarter business updates to track, IndusInd Bank reported a decline in both advances and deposits for the June quarter. Meanwhile, Godrej Consumer says it expects to post double-digit consolidated revenue growth for Q1 FY26, and good performance continues for Jubilant Foodworks as well. It's the start of a brand new week, and you're watching Power Breakfast right here on CNBC TV 18 in the Mumbai News Centre. I am Hormuz Patakia. Let's first take a look at how the Asian markets have started off, and it's a slightly cautious tone that the Asian markets are currently trading with. 0.7% lower on the Hang Seng, a 0.6% lower cut on the Taiwanese index as well. The Nikkei in Japan is down 0.5%. The Kospi is the only index in Asia that is currently trading above the flat line, as has been an outperformer all through the week, and it continues to do so. But still, holding on to some bit of gains is the Kospi, but the rest of the markets, including the Shanghai Composite, trading below the flat line, the Hang Seng being the biggest underperformer. So it's a cautious start to the Asian markets as of now. We'll pull up the GIFT Nifty as well. That will give you an idea of how our own markets are likely to start off. And a similarly cautious tone, as was the case all through last week as well. Still awaiting more contours on the deal that is likely to be struck with the US. The implied open currently suggesting just a 7-point downtick as of now. But the big story this morning is Donald Trump's tariff deadline. The US president has said that he has signed several letters detailing the tariff rates the countries would face on goods exported to the US. Now, describing them as quote unquote take it or leave it offers, Donald Trump said that the letters would be sent out on Monday. Here's what he had to say.
Sending letters out on Monday having to do with the trade deals. It could be 12, maybe 15. You know, Secretary of Commerce right here. And I guess, Howard, I would say it could be maybe as many as 15 or so. And they'll be going out on Monday, and some will go out on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we've made deals also. So we're going to have a combination of letters, and some deals have been made.
Well, now the U.S. Commerce Secretary, who was alongside the U.S. President, also told reporters that the higher tariffs would take effect on the 1st of August. Listen.
But they go into effect on August 1st. Tariffs go into effect August 1st, but the president is setting the rates and the deals right now. Well, the president is right in the midst of discussing all sorts of deals with all sorts of countries, and the gentleman to my right is going to decide, and I'm going to be with him when he makes that decision.
Staying with tariffs and trade deals, sources are telling CNBC TV 18 that India and the US are set to take a final decision on a mini trade deal in the next 2 days. Parikshit is joining in with more details on this. Parikshit, what are your sources telling you?
We believe that negotiations on the mini trade deal are now over. There are no more negotiations before the 9th of July, and India and US are now likely to take a final call in the next 24 to 48 hours whether to sign off on it or not. Essentially, both sides have proposed whatever they could, and now a political call has to be taken by Prime Minister Modi on the Indian side and Donald Trump on the US side. Sources also saying that India has proposed a fair deal which would be a win-win for both sides and which will also protect interests of India's labor-intensive sectors and MSMEs. At the same time, the early harvest deal is likely to have annual quotas for lower tariffs on certain labor-intensive products from India. This could be textiles or footwear for that matter. India has also protected its red lines. We're told that Any concessions on wheat, rice, maize, dairy, genetically modified crops have been completely rejected, and India has declined to offer any market access for these areas. Certain U.S. agricultural items which are not used extensively in India, such as pecan nuts, blueberries, they may be provided lower tariffs as part of the deal. India's proposal on automobile tariffs, this is of great interest to the automobile industry. We're told is very similar to what India has been offering to other nations in FTA talks. Currently, talks have only been completed for the interim trade deal or the mini trade deal. Negotiations on the larger BTA or tranche 1 of the agreement, which is set to be signed during fall during President Trump's visit, those negotiations will begin after the 9th of July. We're also told that the average tariff under the deal could be around 10%. Also, India was asking for an exemption from U.S. tariffs on steel. That has not happened because U.S. has imposed these tariffs on everyone and has maintained them despite deals being signed with other nations as well.
Parikshit, thanks a lot for that important update with regards to the trade deal that could be signed between India and the US, and an announcement could be made in the next 24 to 48 hours. Now, amidst this tariff deadline effective date seeing a delay until the 1st of August, HSBC's Frederick Newman believes that the new date offers the US and other countries some scope to complete pending negotiations.
I think we really have to look at the texts that ultimately come out, because even last week we had announcement around the US-Vietnam deal, but it doesn't seem to be really the final word. We don't have the final text yet. And with trade agreements, a lot of it is about the fine print, right? And so it's very hard to say exactly where we are at this point. I do think that the new deadline suggests that the administration is giving itself a bit more time just to get some of these agreements over the line, because some of them seem to be stuck. I mean, we've been talking with Japan for all these weeks, and yet we can't get it over the line. So I think there's a bit of wiggle room. But also, I'm struck, equity markets are just shaking it off. I mean, you look at the Japan market, right? It's just, equity markets don't seem to be bothered by all of this. On the fiscal side, we probably now have a bill. We kind of know where we're going. It's not great in terms of fiscal dynamics, but at least we know we can put it under models and kind of discount it and so forth. On the trade stuff, you're right. I mean, it's not 200%, 150%, but it's still very substantial. And when we hear that things could go back to April 2nd, remember that was a trigger for a major sell-off. And yet the suggestion that we could go back to that seems investors to leave them completely unimpressed. But I do wonder whether we're a bit too confident going into the next few weeks, because there's a lot that could happen. Not necessarily on a global scale, but with individual economies. There might be some economies get picked on, quote unquote, suddenly coming with much higher tariffs than expected, and that would have an impact on the growth trajectory.
Well, in the CNBC TV 18 exclusive, my colleague Abhimanyu spoke to Commerce and Industries Minister Piyush Goyal on these FTA negotiations. Listen to his comments.
Well, we are trying to create a trading environment and trading arrangements and agreements which will help two-way trade. Our handicrafts, our handlooms, our various agri-products from here will also get a market worldwide. So it's always a benefit on both sides that is being balanced in a free trade agreement. After all, there are lakhs of handloom and handicraft persons here also. So we will be balancing everybody's interests when we are looking at free trade agreement.
So my final question to you, any new markets or products being looked at for exports?
Oh yes, our government at the center and the state is focused on new products, new exporters and new markets, and we will always be wanting and will encourage newer and newer exporters to come into this field. We'll try to encourage new products being exported. We just saw cherries being exported, Kashmir cherries being exported to other parts of the world. We would like to encourage newer markets being opened up for the delicious products of Kashmir.
We'll take a short break, and on the other side, we'll tell you how will all of these cues impact our own markets in our Power Prep segment. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Our research team is now joining in to set you up for the trading session today with the trade setup, stocks in news, and of course the setup on the FNO side as well. First up, Vivek is here to get us all the market cues we need to watch out for. Vivek, good morning. Devoid of global cues over the weekend, but what are some of the important things that you're watching out for today?
That's right, devoid of global cues. July 4th was a holiday as far as the US markets are concerned. But remember, commodity markets, especially crude markets, are something that are pricing in the higher production that the OPEC plus countries will actually go in. So on the back of that, crude oil prices slightly lower in the session today. Well, Indian markets, Friday, throughout the trading session, you did see pressure. But what actually transpired was that in the last hour of the trading session, you did see some recovery come in. And on the back of both the Nifty as well as the Bank Nifty managed to end the session with gains. The IT Pack and ICICI Bank among the key gainers. However, Friday, the last story or the big story was the impact as far as the restriction of Chain Street in the Indian markets was concerned. And on the back of that, you did see some important stocks taking quite a big knock. So BSE, Nuvama Wealth, Angel One, all of these stocks among the top drags. And remember also, as far as the oil and gas space was concerned, PNGRB tariff update, especially in terms of gas lines, is something that did come about. And the back of that, you did see GAIL, IGL as well as MGL. These three stocks react, especially IGL, positively impacted. Quarterly updates, whole host of stocks, especially the FMCG pack, will remain in focus. GCPL, Dabur among the top names. And in the BFSI space, IndusInd Bank and Bank of India will remain in focus on the back of the quarterly update. So overall, especially when you're looking at Asian markets and Indian markets, a largely flat start is what we're anticipating.
A whole host of business updates that we need to track. Vivek, thanks a lot for that. Since we were on the subject of markets, let's go across to Sudarshan, who is here with the cues that you need to keep an eye out for from the FNO side of things. Sudarshan, good morning.
Good morning, Omar. So first, the data overall is looking largely on the short side, but market also factor in all the updates, quarterly updates that we are looking at, because stocks will be reacting on that. As far as Friday's session was concerned, last hour recovery helped both Sensex and Nifty close in the green, while mid-cap index had closed with minor cuts. For today also, GIFT Nifty is indicating a muted start. On the flows front also, we have seen both FIs and DIs selling in the cash market. FIs have sold more than rupees 700 crore, even FIs have sold more than rupees 700, DIs have sold more than rupees 1000 crore. And in the futures market too, FIs have sold 747 crore in the index futures, and they have added more short positions than long positions. And now FIs long exposure has reduced to less than 23%. On the option front, 25,700 call has seen maximum addition. Their addition was more than 17 lakh shares. And on the put side, 25,200 and 25,300 put were the healthy ones. One stock that remains in the band is RBL Bank. And apart from RBL Bank, two stocks that I'll keep an eye on. First is BSE, because now most of the brokerage reports are saying that FI's contribution to the volumes of BSE are very low, so there should not be much impact because of SEBI's order on Chain Street. And second stock that I'll keep an eye on is BPCL, because over the weekend we have seen a sharp drop in crude after OPEC plus order. Now, lastly, support for Nifty remains around 25,330, and if that breaches, next support comes around 25,160. As far as resistance is concerned, 25,600 first, and if we cross that, then 25,700.
That 25,600 level continues to be a bit of a barrier for the index, and it has failed to cross that all through last week. Sudarshan, thanks a lot for that update from the FNO side of things, and some important stocks that you will have to keep an eye out for today. We had a whole host of business updates that came in on Friday evening and over the weekend as well. We'll start off with Dabur, then for the Godrej Consumer Products. Let's start off with that first. Now, they said that the standalone business is likely to deliver a high single-digit value growth on the back of a mid-single-digit underlying volume growth that they have seen during the quarter, and as a result of which the volume growth has been strongly competitive and is improving sequentially. So they are expecting a consolidated double-digit revenue growth during the quarter. Now, on the flip side, Dabur has said that their consolidated revenue is likely to grow in low single digits, and that is because of the underperformance of their beverage business, which has weighed on the top line. And they're saying that this consolidated operating profit growth is expected to marginally lag revenue growth. So if revenue growth is going to be in the low single digits, the operating profit growth is likely to be either similar or maybe even lower. So that's Dabur for you. Bank of India, some of the PSU banks came out with some updates. Absolutely flat in terms of global deposits on a year-on-year basis. Advances too were up 12% compared to last year. That is for global overall. And IDBI Bank saw a 7% deposit growth, growth. CASA deposits were down 2%, so it's a mixed bag that IDBI Bank reported during the quarter. But Senco Gold on the flip side, though it's a strong update from them. Retail revenue was up 24% and revenue growth overall was 28%. Same-store sales growth was strong as well. And they said that they are on course to achieve their annual target of 20 showrooms, and this quarter is likely to be boosted by festivals like Raksha Bandhan and Onam. Keep an eye out on IndusInd Bank, though. It's been in the news all through the quarter, and this time around advances were down, deposits were down, both on a year-on-year as well as on a sequential basis. So keep an eye out for that. Morgan Stanley too said that they remain underweight because of all of these uncertainties and the lack of clarity over their new CEO. So keep an eye out on that. Jyoti CNC, they've acquired 20 acres of land at Tumkuru Machine Tools Park in Karnataka. And Shilpa Medicare is the other one where Anvisa has completed their good manufacturing practices inspection of its arm, and that inspection has been concluded with no major observations. Well, Tata Steel has received a demand letter with respect to the minerals dispatch from the Sukinda chromite block. Mahindra Life Spaces has launched a new project, and BEML has won an order. So a lot of stocks that you need to keep an eye out for today. But moving on then, Labour Secretary Vandana Gurnani has said that only manufacturing sector will be eligible for incentives under the new employment scheme for a 4-year period. Now, speaking to CNBC TV 18, she added that the incentives under the scheme will be limited to 2 years for other sectors. She also clarified that there is no per month or per annum target for companies to avail this scheme. Listen in.
In terms of sectors, I would say it is a very broad-based scheme. It is applicable to all sectors. There is, I would say, an additional incentive, a longer incentive for the manufacturing sector to give a special boost to that particular sector. So all sectors would be eligible for incentive for 2 years after the employment is generated. However, manufacturing sector would have an additional 2 years. It would be eligible for incentives for 4 years. Any company which has less than 50 employees has to hire 2 additional employees. So over the baseline of employment that they currently have, just 2 more people hired makes them eligible for the incentive. And if they hire 10 people, 15 people, 100 people, they get incentive for all of them. Similarly, for companies which have more than 50 employees, they have to hire 5 additional employees. So there is no such per month or per annum target that is there.
We take a short break. Up next, we get you cues from the commodities market. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Manisha Gupta now joins in with all the updates from the commodity space. Manisha, good morning. A higher than expected hike from OPEC and its allies.
Oh, absolutely. And, the markets were not anticipating this. 411,000 is what the street was looking at. You have 528, and this is way higher. And the expectation that not just for the month of August, but September and October could be looking at these higher highs as well has put pressure on the prices, but not so much yet again, because you're looking at better Chinese manufacturing data. The services numbers have come in on the positive side as well. But you know what, Hormuz, all of this is going to go down, especially as the markets await the U.S. FOMC Fed meeting minutes that are going to be released in this week. And then those tariffs, the 9th July is yet another thing that the street will watch out for. But it's not just the crude oil prices, because when you look at the metal space as well, there is a bit of a profit taking coming in here. The copper prices have gone down. Rubber has gone down because of crude oil prices declining. Iron ore and steel is off its highs as well. And so is the case with aluminum, zinc, gold. All of that seems to have declined because of a bit of a strength in US dollar index also coming back.
Manisha, thanks a lot for that update. Now, a day after US President Donald Trump signed the One Big Beautiful Bill into a law, billionaire Elon Musk, who has strongly opposed the bill, announced that he would be launching a new political party in the US. Now, on his social media platform X, Musk revealed the formation of the America Party, which aims to give you back freedom, quote unquote. Now, he stated that the party would seek to challenge the existing two-party system dominated by the Republicans Republicans and the Democrats. Remember, Elon Musk had announced his departure from Trump's administration in May, citing completion of his scheduled time. However, the relationship between the two has soured ever since Trump pushed for the mega tax bill. In fact, let's listen in to what the president had to say about the new party.
I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. We have a tremendous success with the Republican Party. The Democrats have lost their way, but it's always been a two-party system. And I think starting a third party just adds to confusion. It really seems to have been developed for two parties. Third parties have never worked. So he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
Well, in some other news then, at least 78 people have been confirmed dead in central Texas and another 41 are missing following flash floods on Friday. Officials say that the death toll is certain to rise more. Now, more storms are expected in the next 24 to 48 hours in the region, which could hamper rescue teams who are already facing venomous snakes as they sift through mud and debris. President Donald Trump signed a major disaster declaration on Sunday for Kerr County, activating the Federal Emergency Management Agency to Texas. He also said that he would probably visit the state on Friday. With that, we'll call time on this edition of Power Breakfast. From me and the team that put this show together, thank you so much for watching. Bazaar Morning Call on the other side to set you up for the day's trade.